Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Treasure Hunters, Coin Collectors, and Curious Minds. If you're someone who loves the thrill of discovery and the hidden stories that lie within everyday objects, you're in for a real treat today. Because in this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into a humble little coin that many of us have seen, spent, or maybe even tossed into a jar without a second thought, the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1949. At first glance, it might seem like just another old copper coin, something ordinary, something common. But trust me, this penny holds secrets. And for some lucky people out there, this tiny piece of metal has turned into an unexpected fortune. So sit tight and get comfortable, because we're about to uncover the fascinating story, the details, the rarity, and yes, the jaw-dropping value of this little piece of American history. Let's begin where all great stories start, with a bit of history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has been an iconic part of American coinage since it first rolled out of the U.S. Mint in 1909, celebrating the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. That was a landmark moment. It was the very first time a U.S. coin had featured a real person, and not just a symbolic figure. The design was the work of Lithuanian-American sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, sparked controversy when they were prominently featured on the first batch of coins. Now fast forward 4 decades to 1949. The war had ended, America was entering a new chapter, and the Lincoln Wheat Penny was still going strong. The year 1949 is particularly interesting for collectors because it wasn't a year of major historical events related to the coin itself, and that's exactly what makes it so mysterious and exciting. It was a quiet year in the world of pennies, or so it seemed. There were 3 different versions of the 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny based on where they were minted: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark, and those from San Francisco bear an S. Coins from Philadelphia? They don't have a mint mark at all. The 1949 D and 1949 S were minted in large quantities, millions upon millions, and they were meant for everyday use. These coins passed through countless hands, bought groceries, paid for newspapers, slipped into vending machines, and jingled in pockets for years. Most of them are long gone now, worn down, damaged, lost in time. But a rare few, just a rare few, have survived in pristine condition, and it's those rare survivors that collectors go absolutely wild for. Let's take a moment to appreciate the design. On the front of the coin, the obverse, you see a profile of Abraham Lincoln, stately and proud, the words, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty," to his left, and the date 1949 just under his right shoulder. If it's a D or S mint mark, you'll find it tucked under the date. Flip the coin over and you're greeted by 2 stylized wheat stalks arching along the left and right sides, giving the coin its name, the Wheat Penny. Between them, 1 cent, United States of America, and above all of it, the enduring phrase, E pluribus unum. But the beauty of the 1949 Lincoln Penny isn't just in its design, it's in what lies beneath the surface. It's in the tiny imperfections, the rare errors, the variations that slipped through the minting process unnoticed. These so-called error coins can include double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and other subtle misprints. At the time, they may have gone undetected, but now, they're worth their weight in gold. Literally, error coins are what collectors dream about. They're rare, unique, and no two are exactly alike. They're like the typos of the coin world, mistakes that turned into masterpieces. And when those errors appear on a 1949 wheat penny, the value can skyrocket. But it's not just errors that matter, condition is everything. A penny that's been kept in nearly perfect condition for over 70 years is like finding a time capsule. The surface gleams, the detail is sharp, and every line of Lincoln's face is crisp and clear. These coins are known as mint state coins, and they're graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by experts. A coin graded 65 or higher is considered high grade, and it can command serious attention at auctions and from private collectors alike. Now, here's where it gets really exciting. While most 1949 Lincoln Wheat Pennies in average condition are only worth a few cents to a couple of dollars, the market tells a different story when it comes to the rarest of the rare. There have been cases, confirmed, recorded, and talked about in numismatic circles, where certain 1949 pennies with the right combination of a rare error, a desirable mint mark, and a flawless condition have sold for astonishing sums. So what should you be looking for? First, check the mint mark. A D or an S can make a big difference in value depending on the variant. Then, look closely for any oddities in the design. Is the date doubled? Is the lettering off-center? Is there something unusual about Lincoln's face or jacket? These are signs that you may be holding something truly special. And finally, check the condition. If your coin has minimal scratches, full detail, and original luster, you might just be sitting on a gold mine. Collectors are constantly searching for that one-in-a-million coin, and 1949 wheat pennies, especially those with rare features, have become a quiet legend in the community. Stories circulate, sometimes whispered at coin shows, about people who found a penny in an old drawer or inherited it in a box of junk coins, only to discover they had something priceless. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value. If you happen to be the lucky owner of an original 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny with the right mint mark, an ultra-rare error, and in nearly perfect uncirculated condition, you could be holding a coin worth $88,000, yes, you heard that right. A single penny. Worth $88,000. That's the magic of numismatics. A coin that cost just 1 cent to spend, if preserved with care or struck with just the right flaw, can transform into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So before you toss that old penny aside, take another look. Because you never know when the smallest coin might hold the biggest surprise. Today, we're unlocking the story behind a tiny copper coin that's been hiding in plain sight for decades. It's the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1953, and while it may look ordinary to the untrained eye, this coin has a few secrets up its sleeve. Don't let the small size fool you. This penny might be sitting at the bottom of an old coffee can or tucked away in your grandparents' attic, but if it checks a few rare boxes, this unassuming cent could be worth a life-changing fortune. That's right, by the end of this video, you'll understand why collectors are willing to pay top dollar for certain 1953 Lincoln Wheat Pennies, and we'll reveal just how high the value can go if you've got the right one in your collection. So stay tuned, because we're going to cover everything, from mint marks to design features, from rare errors to coin grading, and we're saving the jaw-dropping value reveal for the very end. Let's start with the story behind the coin itself. The Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first U.S. coin to ever feature a real person, and it replaced the Indian head cent that had circulated for decades before. Fast forward to 1953. The world had just emerged from World War II, and the United States was now a global superpower, brimming with post-war optimism. Families were moving to the suburbs, the economy was booming, and coins like the Lincoln Wheat Penny were passing through hands every single day, buying milk, candy, newspapers, and fueling the daily rhythm of American life. But not all pennies from 1953 are created equal. In fact, subtle differences can make a huge impact on their value today. There were 3 different mints producing the Lincoln Wheat Penny in 1953: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark just below the date, while coins from San Francisco are marked with an S. Coins from the Philadelphia Mint, on the other hand, were issued without any mint mark at all. Each mint produced millions, even hundreds of millions, of pennies that year. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck over 256 million of them. Denver produced about 700 million, and San Francisco added more than 180 million to the mix. That might sound like a lot, and it is, but here's the catch: most of those coins were used, abused, lost, damaged, or simply worn down to the point where they're worth little more than face value today, but a select few, a very select few, have survived in incredible condition. And an even smaller group was struck with minting errors or production anomalies that make them astronomically more valuable to collectors today. Let's talk about what makes a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny valuable. First, condition is everything. A penny from 1953 that has never been circulated, meaning it was never used in a transaction, never tossed in a pocket, never rubbed against other coins, is referred to as being in mint state. These coins retain their original shine, their sharp edges, and all the fine details that are usually lost with time. Collectors use the Sheldon grading scale to rank coins from 1 to 70, with 70 being an absolutely flawless coin. A 1953 penny graded MS65 or higher is already rare, and already worth far more than 1 cent. Now let's layer in mint marks. While the Philadelphia coins are the most common, the Denver and San Francisco issues are far more desirable to many collectors, especially when found in high grades. A 1953 penny in mint state, for example, is more scarce and often demands a premium. But that's just the beginning of the story. The real excitement comes when errors and variants enter the picture. During the minting process, errors occasionally occur, and while the U.S. Mint has strict quality control, some of these flawed coins still make it into circulation. These include things like double die obverse, off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and planchet errors. Each one of these can add unique value to a coin. Imagine holding a 1953 D penny with a clear double image on the date, a double die that shows each number slightly shifted. Or maybe you've seen a 1953 S with a repunched mint mark, where the S was punched into the die more than once, causing a shadow-like effect. These aren't just minor quirks, these are one-of-a-kind traits that turn a common coin into a rare collector's prize. Even subtle differences can drive up value. A minor flaw, a shifted image, an extra line or missing detail, to a trained collector, these features can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars, and a coin that can change your financial future. And it's not just about mistakes. Even standard coins from 1953, when preserved in pristine condition, can be highly sought after. Some of these coins have spent the last 70 years sealed in protective holders, never exposed to air or handled by human hands. The result? A copper coin that looks just as fresh as the day it left the mint. And collectors go absolutely wild for that kind of preservation. But here's the exciting part: these coins are out there. They're in old collections, tucked into books, hiding in drawers and jars. They could be sitting in your basement right now. You don't need to be a professional dealer to come across one. All it takes is a little luck, and a sharp EYE.SO. What should you look for if you have a 1953 penny? First, check the mint mark, look under the date for a small D or S. Then, examine the condition. Is the coin still shiny? Can you see every detail in Lincoln's hair and jacket? Are there any odd features, like doubling in the numbers or letters, or signs that the coin was struck off-center? If you think your coin looks unusual, or unusually perfect, don't guess. Take it to a coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Professional grading not only confirms the coin's authenticity, but it also locks in its value and makes it easier to sell or auction for its true worth. Now, we've covered the history, the mints, the design, the errors, and the importance of grading. So what about the value? Well, most 1953 pennies in circulated condition are only worth a few cents to a few dollars. Mint state coins? They can fetch $10, $50, sometimes even a few $100 depending on the mint mark and quality, but when you combine all the elements, an extremely high grade, a rare mint mark, and a highly desirable error, you enter the realm of serious collectors. And that's when this little 1-cent coin starts commanding unbelievable prices at auction.so. Now, finally, here's the moment you've been waiting for. If you are fortunate enough to own a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny that has all the right traits, a rare minting error, flawless condition, and perhaps a unique die variation, that tiny piece of copper could be worth as much as $80,000. That's right. 1 cent, worth $80,000. It's the kind of discovery that turns a casual coin collector into a serious investor overnight. So the next time you find a handful of old change, don't overlook the pennies. One of them might be hiding a secret that's worth more than a new car, a college tuition, or even a down payment on a house. Today, we're exploring something that may be small in size but enormous in story, a coin that's been overlooked by millions for decades. Yes, we're talking about the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1950. You might think, it's just a penny, right? But what if I told you that this coin, minted over 70 years ago, could be worth more than most people make in an entire year? Stick around, because you'll want to hear every detail, from mint marks to rare errors, from grading to historical context, all leading up to the shocking truth about just how valuable a 1950 wheat penny could be, if you've got the right one. Let's set the scene. America in 1950. The Second World War was over, but the world was entering a new era. The Cold War had just begun, television was starting to take over living rooms, and the American economy was booming. A time of optimism, change, and growth. Amid all of this transformation, the U.S. Mint continued its job of producing the currency that fueled everyday life, and the Lincoln Wheat Penny was still going strong. Originally introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the wheat penny had already become an American icon by 1950. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and its design by Victor David Brenner had stood the test of time. But 1950 wasn't just another minting year, it marked a subtle but fascinating period for collectors. In 1950, the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln Wheat Pennies at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each of these coins can be identified by a small mint mark below the date. No mark means it was minted in Philadelphia. D indicates Denver, and an S stands for San Francisco. Now here's where things start to get interesting. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 270 million pennies that year. Denver produced a whopping 334 million. And San Francisco, the smallest of the 3 mints, issued just under 119 million. While these numbers might seem high, remember, pennies were used constantly back then. Vending machines, bus fares, payphones, they were a huge part of daily life. So it's no surprise that the vast majority of 1950 pennies got worn down, damaged, or simply lost to time, which means that finding a 1950 wheat penny in pristine condition today is a rare and exciting event. But what exactly are we talking about when we say pristine? Well, collectors use a scale, known as the Sheldon grading scale, to assess a coin's condition, from 1, completely worn, to 70, absolutely perfect, untouched by human hands. Coins graded MS 60 and above are considered mint state, and as you climb toward MS 65, MS 66, or higher, the value begins to increase dramatically. But it's not just condition that matters. Some 1950 Lincoln Wheat Pennies have hidden surprises, errors made during the minting process that slipped past the eyes of even the most careful inspectors. These errors include double die obverse, where parts of the design, like the date or the word Liberty, appear doubled, almost like a shadow. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin isn't properly aligned in the press, resulting in part of the design being cut off. And let's not forget repunched mint marks, where the D or S was stamped more than once, creating a ghost-like duplication. These imperfections make each coin unique, and in the world of numismatics, unique equals value. Imagine holding a 1950 D penny that's not only in mint state, but also has a clear double die on the obverse. Or a 1950 S coin that's slightly off-center, but still sharply detailed and shimmering with original red luster. These kinds of coins don't just sell, they ignite bidding wars. Now, let's talk design, because even after decades, the artistry of the Lincoln Wheat Penny still impresses. On the front, there's Abraham Lincoln's side profile, with the words, "In God We Trust," arching above him, Liberty, to his left, and the date to his right, with the all-important mint mark right below it. On the back, 2 stylized wheat stalks curving inward, framing the words, 1 cent, United States of America, and above that, the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This coin isn't just currency, it's history, philosophy, and national identity, all pressed into a 1-cent piece of copper. So how do these coins end up being worth so much? It comes down to a few things: rarity, demand, condition, and uniqueness. A coin that has survived since 1950 in a flawless state, especially one with a rare mint mark or unusual error, is the kind of find that collectors dream about. And let's face it, the idea of a coin sitting unnoticed in a family drawer for 70 years only to turn out to be a jackpot, that's the kind of story that captures everyone's imagination. And here's the wild part, these coins aren't just sitting in museums or safety deposit boxes. They're out there. They show up in pocket change, coin rolls, garage sales, estate auctions, and flea markets. You might even have one buried in an old coffee can or tucked into a childhood coin album that's been collecting dust in the attic. So what should you do if you think you found a 1950 wheat penny with potential? First, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin, even if you think you're improving it, can actually destroy its value. Instead, examine it gently under good lighting, maybe with a magnifying glass. Look for mint marks, check the condition, and most importantly, look for anything odd. A slight doubling of the numbers. An off-center image. A second outline on the mint mark. If something looks unusual, it's worth getting it professionally evaluated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now let's come back to that central question, the one that has you on the edge of your seat. Just how much is a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny really worth? Well, most circulated 1950 pennies will only fetch a few cents. Maybe a couple of dollars if they're in decent shape. But when you step into the world of uncirculated mint state coins, especially those with rare mint marks or dramatic mint errors, that's when things start to escalate. At coin shows, auctions, and private sales, these top-tier 1950 pennies have been known to command prices that are hard to believe. And now, after this journey through history, design, minting, and rarity, here it is. If you are lucky enough to own a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny with a highly desirable mint error, exceptional preservation, and possibly a rare die variety, your humble little copper coin could be worth as much as $83,000. Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent worth $83,000. It's the kind of discovery that changes lives, and reminds us all that sometimes, the smallest treasures are the most valuable. So keep searching, keep flipping through your old change, and never overlook a penny, because one day, that penny might just become your golden ticket. Today, we're zooming in on a coin that might be hiding in your collection, your pocket change, or even at the bottom of an old cookie tin in grandma's attic. The United States of America 1 cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1954. You may have seen this coin before. You might even have a few stashed away. But before you brush it off as just another old penny, listen closely, because this tiny copper coin could be worth far more than 1 cent. In fact, by the end of this video, we'll reveal how one specific 1954 Lincoln wheat penny might be worth enough to buy a luxury car or put a down payment on a house. And no, that's not an exaggeration. So grab your coin jar, settle in, and let's unlock the secrets of the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny. To truly appreciate this coin, we have to take a quick journey back in time. The year is 1954. America is post-war prosperous. Families are moving into new suburban homes, televisions are taking over living rooms, and rock and roll is slowly emerging on the airwaves. Gasoline costs just 22 cents a gallon, and you could buy a loaf of bread for a dime. And in the middle of this rapidly evolving world, people are trading and spending the very coin we're talking about today. The Lincoln wheat penny had already been in circulation for 45 years at that point. First minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the wheat penny replaced the Indian head cent and quickly became an American classic. Its design featured a solemn profile of Lincoln on the obverse and two stylized wheat stalks arching around the words, 1 cent, on the reverse, a design that represented both national pride and agricultural abundance. By 1954, the coin was no longer just a tribute, it was a piece of everyday life, but just because something is common doesn't mean it's ordinary. In 1954, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln wheat pennies at 3 different facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint is distinguished by a tiny letter stamped under the date, no letter for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and an S for San Francisco. Here's how many they made. Philadelphia, over 71 million coins, Denver, over 251 million. San Francisco, just under 96 million. Now, those numbers might sound huge, and they are. But here's the catch, most of those coins were spent, handled, dropped, worn, damaged, and forgotten. It's not about how many were made, it's about how many survived in great condition, and that brings us to the golden rule of coin collecting: condition is king. A 1954 penny pulled from circulation, with scratches, dull color, and worn-out features, might only be worth a few cents. But a 1954 penny that was never circulated, one that still gleams like it did the day it left the mint, now that's something special. These uncirculated examples, often found in old rolls or original bank packaging, can be graded on a scale from 1 to 70. Anything above 60 is considered mint state, and once you get into the MS 65 to MS 67 range, values climb dramatically. Now, let's talk about something every collector loves: errors. That's right, the mistakes are worth more than the perfect ones. In the minting world, certain types of errors can make a coin incredibly valuable. Think about double dies, where the image or letters are struck more than once, giving a ghost-like doubling effect. There are also off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and die cracks, all of which can transform a simple penny into a collector's dream. And guess what? The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny is known to have some error varieties, especially from the Denver and San Francisco mints. A 1954 D with a clearly visible repunched D, or a 1954 S with a double die obverse, can bring significantly higher prices. These rare varieties are often overlooked because they require a trained eye or magnification to spot. But once found, they can be worth hundreds, sometimes thousands, of dollars more than a standard penny. Even without errors, a beautifully preserved 1954 penny with a strong strike, rich copper-red color, and minimal marks can sell for astonishing amounts at auctions and collector shows. In fact, high-grade examples certified by professional coin grading companies like PCGS or NGC consistently bring premium prices. But let's pause here and consider the deeper story. Coins like the 1954 wheat penny are more than just pieces of metal. They are silent witnesses to history. Think about it: how many hands might your 1954 penny have passed through? Did it help buy groceries for a growing family? Was it dropped in a jukebox to play a rock and roll song? Did it ride across the country in someone's pocket during the golden age of American road trips? These coins are snapshots of the past, and for those who collect them, they're priceless pieces of American heritage. So, how do you know if your 1954 penny is special? First, check for a mint mark under the date. Look closely: is there a D or an S? Then examine the surface of the coin. Does it shine like it's brand new? Are the details crisp, or are they faded? Is there anything odd about the letters, numbers, or edges? Even a tiny irregularity can mean big value. If you see something unusual, or if your coin appears to be in nearly flawless condition, it's time to have it professionally graded. And now, let's bring this full circle. Most 1954 Lincoln Wheat pennies you'll find are worth just a few cents to a couple of dollars, maybe more if they're in better condition. But when you combine rarity, perfection, a desirable mint mark, and perhaps even an error, now you're talking serious money. So here it is, the moment you've waited for. If you happen to own a 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny that is in gem uncirculated condition, with rich red luster, a rare minting error, and maybe even a low population at its grade level, that humble 1-cent coin could be worth as much as $76,000. Yes, you heard that right. One penny, worth $76,000, just imagine that. A single copper coin, hiding for decades, suddenly revealed to be a treasure. That's the beauty of numismatics. It's a hobby where history and value meet. And best of all, the next great discovery could be sitting right in your pocket. So don't overlook those old pennies. Give them a closer look. Because the next time you reach into your coin jar, you just might pull out your own piece of American gold. Today's video might just blow your mind. Because we're diving deep into the fascinating world of one of the most recognizable coins in American history, the Lincoln Wheat Penny, and focusing on a very special year, 1945. Now, you might think a 1945 penny is just another old coin sitting in a jar somewhere, collecting dust. But let me tell you something: beneath that worn copper surface could lie a secret. A rare variation. A perfect mint state example. A hidden error. And if all the right stars align, that penny could be worth more than most people's yearly salary. So buckle up, coin lovers and treasure hunters, because today, we're uncovering everything you need to know about the 1945 wheat penny, what mint marks to look for, what makes some of these coins incredibly valuable, and why this humble little cent might just be worth a small fortune. Let's set the stage. The year is 1945. World War II is drawing to a close. The Allies are celebrating victory in Europe. Troops are returning home. The world is changing, and America is beginning a new chapter. It was a year of transformation, rebuilding, and hope for the future. And while all of this was happening on the world stage, the United States Mint was still hard at work, pressing coins that would be used in everyday life, including the iconic Lincoln Wheat Penny. The Lincoln Wheat Cent, originally introduced in 1909, had already become a staple in pockets, purses, and cash registers across the country. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, Abraham Lincoln, and symbolized unity and strength during tough times. The reverse side features two wheat stalks arched around the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, proudly displayed above. But what makes the 1945 edition of this coin special? Let's talk about mint marks. In 1945, Lincoln Wheat Pennies were struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can tell which mint your coin came from by looking just below the date. If there is no mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. If you see a small d, it came from Denver, and if there's an S, that means San Francisco. Now here's something important: Philadelphia produced the most that year, over 1 billion coins. Denver came in second with over 266 million, and San Francisco produced over 181 million. That's a lot of pennies. But don't let those high numbers fool you. Quantity doesn't always mean quality. And most of those coins have seen decades of circulation, wear, and damage. The real treasures are the ones that somehow survived the last 75+ years in amazing condition. These are the coins that were never spent, never handled, and remained untouched, often saved in original rolls, collector folders, or mint sets. We're talking about mint state condition here. That means no scratches, no stains, and full original color, what collectors refer to as red in copper coins, but that's not all. In the world of numismatics, the value of a coin can skyrocket when it includes something rare or unusual, like a minting error. And believe it or not, 1945 wheat pennies have their fair share of known errors. Some examples include double die obverse, where the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile appear slightly doubled due to misalignment during the striking process. These are among the most desirable error types. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet wasn't properly centered. Die cracks and cuds, where parts of the die break, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin. Repunched mint marks, where the D or S was stamped more than once, creating a shadowy or doubled effect. Even small variations like these can dramatically increase a coin's appeal and value, especially when combined with top-notch condition. Let's take a moment to talk about grading, because this is where things start to get serious. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. Anything above 60 is considered mint state, but it's the higher grades, MS 65, MS 66, MS 67 and beyond, that are incredibly rare and command major value in the marketplace. And yes, there are certified 1945 wheat pennies that have received grades of MS 67 and higher, especially with full red luster. These coins are dazzling to look at, with every detail of Lincoln's portrait and the wheat stalks crisp and untouched. Now let's put ourselves in a collector's shoes. Imagine you come across a 1945 S penny with a repunched mint mark, in full mint state red, graded MS 67 by a professional coin grading service. There might only be a few known examples in that grade. That coin isn't just rare, it's elite. It's the kind of coin that serious collectors compete over at auctions, the kind of coin that draws attention from investors, dealers, and historians alike. And the best part? These coins are still out there. They could be in inherited collections, hiding in old bank envelopes, resting in coin albums from decades past. They aren't always sitting in museums or locked away in high-security vaults. They're out there, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. So, how do you know if your 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is valuable? Start by checking the mint mark. Is it a D or an S? If so, you're already in rarer territory. Look at the condition. Is the coin shiny, with original red luster? Are all the tiny details sharp and clear? Then, look for anything unusual, doubling in the numbers or letters, an off-center design, or any signs of error. If you think you've got something special, the next step is grading. Don't try to clean it, that can actually destroy its value. Instead, send it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. Once certified, your coin becomes part of the official collector market, and if it's high grade or has a rare error, you might be holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Now, we've talked about the history, the mint marks, the errors, the grading, and the collector demand. But what about the value? Here it is. The moment you've been waiting for. If you are one of the incredibly lucky people to own a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny in near-perfect condition, with rich red color, a rare minting error, and a top-tier grade from a trusted grading service, your humble 1-cent coin could be worth as much as $96,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. 1 penny, worth $96,000. That's not a myth. That's not a rumor. That's the real value some collectors are willing to pay for these pristine, one-of-a-kind coins. So before you toss aside that old wheat penny, give it a second look. Because it might not just be history in your hands, it might be a hidden fortune. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe for more hidden coin stories, and ring the bell so you never miss another episode. We've got plenty more secrets to uncover, because sometimes, all it takes is one small coin to make a big difference. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and as always, happy collecting.